Welcome to Claiming Space, the podcast. I'm Gail Austin, an advocate for caregivers, a dreamer, an iPhone photographer, and a self-confessed museum lover. Oh, I'm the mother of two adult children, one who's disabled, and I'm her caregiver. As a caregiver, it took me some time to learn how to carve out space for me and to be okay with claiming my space. But once I did, this simple step allowed me to stay fueled, fulfilled, and replenished. Each week, I will share my stories, my journey, and my motivators on how I stayed inspired as a caregiver. Join me for shared stories, connections, special guests, and inspiration. Okay, I'm ready to share a big reveal. In episode 3, I want to dig into the why and how I discovered the thing that keeps me fulfilled and replenished. Let's say a tale in 3 parts. Don't worry, it'll all come together in the end. Join me on my reconnection journey. Okay, here we go. My love of art. Where to start? You see, art for me is like breathing air, an injection of inspiration, focus, life. I could stand in front of the same painting or sculpture today and have a totally different experience from a visit last week or last month or last year. That is the beauty of art, of music, of words. They push me and challenge me to see or feel what is hidden deep inside. I have loved art as long as I can remember. My aunt took me to my first ballet and dance recital when I was 6 or 7 in Philadelphia. As a child, I would rather read a book than play outside or even talk to someone. I was a bit antisocial as a child, I will admit. I created a comic strip when I was a teenager, The Bug Family. Don't know why, I just did it. No, it was never featured in any newspapers. And yes, I am dating myself with the newspaper reference. I was an art major in high school. I took advanced sewing because of my love of fashion. And I was the editor of the literary magazine. We had a lot of extracurricular opportunities when I was in high school. But when I went into the military, I packed away this part of me and life happened. And it happened in a lot of ways. I only took it out occasionally to go to a play or visit a museum. Okay, let's fast forward to 2016 and part 1 of this story. Thank you for letting me do the setup. Something happened in May 2016 that put me back on my art journey, but it wasn't a good something. It was invasive and disruptive, and it made me angry. And eventually, I needed to find a way to focus to contain my anger. In May 2016, I traveled out of town for a work trip. And whenever I travel, I need 3 people to handle my caregiver responsibilities. I have a morning person to get my daughter ready for her day program, and an afternoon, evening person to give her dinner and prepare her for bed, and then someone to spend the night with her, which has been typically her brother or another family member to take the overnight shift. On this occasion, I used a respite service to handle the afternoon evening care, the evening prep for her, like get her ready for bed. When I returned home from my trip, my son passed me on his way to work as I attempted to decompress after the flight. All I wanted to do was kiss my daughter, unpack, and take a shower. But instead, I was frantically calling my son and the police. Don't worry, my daughter was fine. But someone, and I'm using air quotes for the someone, had rummaged through my bathroom, taken some makeup, which I thought was odd. And then I looked in my closet and my jewelry box was everything was shifted. And I noticed my jewelry was gone. Lots of my jewelry was stolen. And most of these things taken were not that expensive, but they were sentimental. They stole my Air Force ring, which probably is the one that hurt me the most. And they took my wedding rings, which I wasn't too broken up about. Been divorced for a long time, so not a thing. And they took my daughter's little gold heart shaped earrings. Like, why are you taking something from someone who is incapacitated, can't speak for herself? You're supposed to be caring for her, not taking from her. And to say I was livid with anger. I was livid. Um, I was shaking and I waited for the police to arrive. Luckily, because I recently cataloged my home for earthquake and fire reasons, I knew exactly what was taken. I also suspected who had done this. Did I mention the caregiver service? Long story short, this violation changed my trust in the respite service, and I decided I could no longer use them. It was a benefit for me, but it wasn't if I was worried all the time that something would happen to me, that someone wasn't caring for my daughter in the right way. From that day forward, I only used people I knew from her day program to care for her. This also meant for a while I only traveled if it was absolutely necessary. In a way, I chose to self isolate. And let's say that's not a good tactic for a caregiver. You really need to take the time and honor your breaks. And I wasn't doing that. So a few months into this, I decided, because I was still hesitant to travel outside of the state, to plan a local staycation to regroup and re energize, whatever. Like, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. What else can I do? But the beauty of Southern California, we have an abundance of places to visit. So much to explore, and explore I did. I took lots of photos while I was doing this exploration, and I soaked in whatever my local area provided. I did a morning walk in Laguna Beach at Treasure Island. Used to spend a lot of time there. I spent a day at LACMA checking out all the current exhibits, visiting a friend. And finally, I visited the oversized bunny sculpture near the Newport Beach Library. If you're here, it's there. It's kind of cute and kind of creepy at the same time. And I experienced contemporary art at the Broad in LA and Kusuma's magical infinity room. Love everything Kusuma. So by now I'm rested and reset, but life had a surprise for me, a very pleasant surprise, a birthday surprise. One of my close friends invited me to lunch to celebrate my birthday. We typically take each other to lunch on our birthdays, catch up and exchange small but meaningful gifts. And I thought this would be one of those lunches. It was that much more, y'all. Much, 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 much more. At the end of the lunch, she gave me a rather large gift bag. I was surprised at the size of the bag because we typically keep the gift giving simple, small. Inside the bag was a box with a Paris themed motif. No surprise here. Everyone knows how much I love Paris, so I didn't think much about the box. I opened it to find a map of the Paris subway system and another box nested in the first box. Again, nothing's clicking. I'm like, that's cool. And the second box was a Paris themed wallet. What I didn't realize in the moment, it was actually a passport holder. And along with this wallet was nested the third and final box. I opened the final box to find a piece of paper with a special message. You are gifted a week in Paris in a private apartment and miles to fly business class to Paris. Okay, I'm sure all of you are like in shock. Like I was in shock. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like I couldn't even articulate besides saying thank you. I just didn't know what to say. I was overwhelmed. I was near tears, but I held them in. Trust me, I cried when I got back in my car. I actually called my mother from the car. I was crying. Um, my dear, generous friend had just gifted me a trip to my favorite city as a way to help me recover from the traumatizing theft earlier in the year. She has always been generous, but this gesture went above and beyond. Her gift to me was actually her gift to someone else also because it was part of an auction, a silent auction, and she auctioned for this charity and got this gift for me. Her act of generosity to this day still touches my heart whenever I think about it because it was came out of nowhere. I didn't ask for it. It was just that's how that's what when you know you have a really pure friendship and a really good friend that they do things for you because. So that's part 1. We've got the setup, we've got the theft, we got the generous gift. But now we're going to do part 2. Part 2, and I must say also in part 1 is where I started kind of going to really digging into art. Part 2 takes place an ocean away in Paris, or Paris as they say. So what does an art lover do when she travels to Paris? She discovers her artist's eye. The first time I went to Paris in 2004, I cried in the Diorcet. I was so overwhelmed being in a room with a Degas little ballerina and realizing that her skirt was real tulle, that the ribbon in her hair was dirty, that she was surrounded by paintings on the wall by Monet and Van Gogh and other famous works. It was surreal for this Black girl from Pennsylvania standing in one of the most famous art galleries in the world. 17-year-old Gail could never imagine this moment. Now, on my second trip to Paris, almost 13 years later, I walk through the city still in disbelief that I was finally back home. You see, France has always felt like home to me. The pace, the rhythm, the acceptance. I understood why James Baldwin and Langston Hughes and Hazel Scott and many others found a life here, found peace here. I understood it. So on day 1, I spent a few hours in the Louvre, took in Monet's Water Lilies at the Musée de l'Orange, and after a day of art immersion, I made my way to the Ritz for tea. Yes, I went all fancy and I had tea at the Ritz. I could do a whole episode to talk about this experience, but in a recap, because we got other things to talk about. In a recap, there are not enough words to express the pure pleasure and elegance of tea in Salon Prost, champagne, a madeleine soaked in cream, jasmine tea, and those delectable pastries. And let's not forget the impeccable service. Yeah, it's a thing. If you can do it, do it. It's just a once in a lifetime thing. On day 2, I visit Musée Rodin. There's something very special about this place. The art appearing to be scattered around the garden, the rooms filled with Rodin's work, Camille's gifts, and the works of his friends. At the Musée Picasso, Olga, Picasso's first wife, stares back at me with haunted eyes. Paul, Picasso's first son, resembles his father with matching glares. Picasso always takes me on a journey in skill, experimentation, from intricate sketches to wall-size abstractions. But it was day 3 when my life changed. On day 3, I traveled outside the city. I walked Monet's gardens and visited the small town where Van Gogh spent his last days. As if suspended in time, my senses heightened. I could see Claude Monet in his garden. I could smell the flowers. And I imagined Vincent walking the green fields in this small little village. These fields captured forever in his paintings. I still do not know why I'm so drawn to Vincent. I don't have words for it. I say his name as if he's an old friend, because in many ways he is. And here in this small French town, along with my trusty iPhone, I discovered my artist eye. I walked in the footsteps of artists, of Vincent, and began to understand what inspired him and could feel my heart expanding. You see, on this trip, I fully reconnected with the artist in me. I connected by living in the moment, by enjoying the moment and appreciating what was right in front of me. I didn't try and change anything that I saw or I captured on my phone. I just appreciated it. Remember, I was living in the moment. And now we arrive at part 3 of this story, finding a perfect flower. So again, part 1, I went through this theft thing and I got this amazing gift. And then I experienced that amazing gift. And now I'm going to execute on that amazing gift. What do you do when you truly see the beauty of the world around you? You learn to capture what you see in the moment. After dinner with a group of friends, a challenge was made. Let's all do something we've wanted to do but hesitated to do for whatever reason. Whether it was lack of skill or fear or time, whatever it was, let's try it. I contemplated a lot of things, including creating an EP with my favorite jazz standards. That may still come one day. You never know. Still in me, and still, still in my let me figure it out what I'm going to do phase, I was taking a walk and I passed a magnolia tree and I saw this crazy blossom. So I pulled out my phone to take a quick picture with my arm at an odd angle and I was trying to get the shot. And I got the shot. What a treasure. This picture of a single blossom was the catalyst for my coffee table book, Artful, a series of 100 pictures taken with my iPhone, except for one picture of the Queen's Gardens in Versailles, taken with my first Sony digital camera. I worked on this project every day for 2 months, sorting through 300 photos to arrive at the 100, including captions and poems for each photo. And a few drafts later, Artful was born. I did not do this to market and sell the book. It was an answer to a challenge, not my friend's challenge, but my own challenge to honor my artist eye. So today I continue to take photos and curate content on my Instagram page. You see, with each photo, I can clearly not only recall the moment taking the photo, I can recall the feeling in that moment. I don't touch up my photos. So if you see a photo, it is how I saw it in the moment at that time, because that to me is the pure form of expression for me. As I said, for me, art is like breathing. And I hope this story of my artist journey, of me reconnecting with my special thing, inspires you to find your special thing. I want you to find it and nurture it and share it. Take time to be still and to pause and to recall what makes you special. Thank you for listening to this episode, and please share this link with your friends, rate the podcast, and follow me on Instagram. And coming soon, we will have the Claiming Space community on Patreon. Exciting. The Claiming Space movement is here to support and provide a safe community where caregivers are acknowledged and seen. Enjoy the rest of your day.